Hello students, this is Swati Agrawal. Now students, we are going to continue the chapter number 2, that is matter around us pure? So student, in this session we are going to learn about how we can separate the different components in a particular mixture. So we are going to study this topic in details in this session. So students, we have already learned that most of the natural substances are not chemically pure. So student, different methods of separation are used to get the individual components from a mixture. Separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. Heterogeneous mixtures can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical methods like the hand picking, sieving, filtration that we use in our day-to-day life. So students, sometimes special techniques have to be used for the separation of the components of a mixture. Just for an example, obtaining the colored components from the blue or the black ink. So student, for the separation of the blue-black ink, the process of evaporation is used to obtain the colored components from blue-black ink. So the process of evaporation is used to separate a substance which is dissolved in the water. It is based on the fact that the liquid vaporizes easily than the solid, which helps in separating the volatile substances from the non-volatile substances. So students, nowadays we get a full cream toned and double toned varieties of the milk packed in the poly packs or the tetra packs in the market. So student, these varieties of the milk contain the different amounts of the fat. So do you know how we can separate this fat from the milk? So students, such mixtures are separated by the method that is the centrifugation. So students, when the two components having the difference in the densities can be separated by the centrifugation. This method is based on the principle that the denser particles are forced to the bottom and the lighter particles stay at the top when spun rapidly. A device used to separate the liquids from the solids by spinning is called the centrifuge. Centrifugal machines are commonly used for this method. The machine can be rotated either by the hand, that is the manually, or electrically. So students, there are few of the applications of the centrifugation technique. That is, the centrifugation technique is used in the diagnostic labs for blood and the urine tests. It is used in the washing machines to squeeze out the water from the wet clothes, and of course from the dairies and the in homes to separate the butter from the cream. So students, moving on, let us learn how can we separate a mixture of the two immiscible liquids. So before understanding this technique, let us learn what is basically a immiscible liquids. Liquids are said to be the immiscible if they are completely insoluble in each other. That is, the liquids which are not forming a homogeneous mixture when they are mixed. In other words, or in the simple, we can say that if we take the kerosene and the water and we try to mix the kerosene and water with each other, they will not get the mix with each other. So that's why these are known as the immiscible liquids. And the apparatus used to separate these immiscible liquids are known as the separating funnel. So student, this method is used to separate a mixture of the two immiscible liquids. This method is based upon the principle that immiscible liquids separate out in the layers depending on their densities. Now there are few examples of this technique, that separating funnel is used in the separation of the mixture of the oil and the water. That means if you try to mix the oil and the water, they cannot be mixed. But if they are put in the one glass, you can easily separate the oil from the water. During the extraction of the iron from its ore, The lighter slag is removed from the molten iron. For this also we use this application, that is the separating funnel. Moving on, the next technique we are going to learn here is the sublimation, that is the separation of a solid volatile component from the mixture. So students, some solids have a tendency to sublime on heating, that is they convert directly from solid to the gaseous or the vapor phase on heating without passing through the liquid phase. A mixture containing such a solid with any other solid can be separated by the sublimation. Example of the solids that sublimine are the camphor, ammonium chloride, naphthalene, iodine, etc. So students, sublimation is used to separate such mixture that contain a sublimable volatile component from a non-sublimable impurity. For example, a mixture of the common salt and the camphor can be separated by using this technique. So students, let us discuss the another technique, that is the chromatography, that is the separation of the components with the help of the same solvent. The term chromatography is based on the Greek word chroma, which means the color. This technique was first used for the separation of the color. Chromatography is the technique which is used for the separation of those solutes that dissolve in the same solvent. The separation of the different components of a mixture is depend upon their different solubilities in the same solvent. For example, the separation of the dyes present in the ink by paper chromatography. So students, to understand this, let us do one activity. Just take a thin strip of the filter paper. Then draw a line on it using a pencil which should be approximately 3 cm above the lower edge. For reference, you can refer the below picture. Put a small drop of the ink, which it can be made from the sketch pen or the fountain pen, at the center of the line. Let it dry. Now lower that filter paper into a glass jar or the beaker containing the water, so that the drop of the ink on the paper is just above the water level as shown in the figure, and leave it undisturbed. Watch carefully what happened as the water rises up on the filter paper. So student, the ink that we use has water as the solvent and the dye is soluble in it. As the water rises on the filter paper, it takes along with it the dye particles. Usually, a dye is a mixture of the two or more colors. The colored components that is more soluble in the water rises faster, and in this way the colors get separated. So student, there are the other application of the chromatography, that is it is used, or this technique is used to separate the drugs from the blood, pigments from the natural colors, and of course the colors in a dye. Now students, let us discuss the another technique, that is the distillation, that means the separation of the two miscible liquids. So students, if liquids in a mixture are miscible, that means the liquids which are can be mixed with each other. The immiscible liquids do not mix with each other, but the miscible liquids can be mixed with each other. So in this, if a liquids in a mixture are miscible, boil without the decomposition and possesses the different boiling points, then they can be separated by the process, that is the distillation. Distillation involves the conversion of a liquid into the vapor, followed by the condensation of the vapor back into the liquid. Distillation is used only if the liquids have a difference in the boiling points of more than the 25 Kelvin. Now students, followed by the distillation, let us discuss the fractional distillation. So students, in the fractional distillation, this is used to separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids for which the differences in the boiling point is less than the 25 Kelvin. Fractional distillation process is used, for example, the separation of the different gases from the air, different fraction from the petroleum products, etc. So students, in this the apparatus is similar to that for the simple distillation, except that a fractionating column is fitted in between the distillation flask and the condenser. A simple fractionating column is a tube packed with the glass beads. The beads provide the surface for the vapors to cool and condense repeatedly. Now students, let us discuss how we can separate the different gases present in the air. So student, as we know that air is a homogeneous mixture and can be separated into its components by the fractional distillation. For this purpose, the air is compressed by increasing the pressure and cooled to a very low temperature. This liquid air is obtained. This liquid air is allowed to warm up slowly in a fractional distillation column where the gases get separated at the different heights depending upon their boiling points. Now for the reference, you can refer the picture given in the slide. Now students, moving on, the crystallization method is used to purify the solids. For example, the salt we get from the sea water can have the many impurities in it. So students, to remove these impurities, the process of the crystallization is used. Crystallization is a process that separates a pure solid in the form of its crystals from a solution. Crystallization technique is better than the simple evaporation technique, as some solids decompose or some, like the sugar, may get blackened on heating to dryness. Some impurities may remain dissolved in the solution even after the filtration. On evaporation, these contaminate the solid. So application of the crystallization is that the purification of the salt that we get from the sea water, separation of the crystals of the alum. Alum means fitkari, from the impure samples. Thus, by choosing one of the any discussed method so far, according to the nature of the components of a mixture, we can get a pure substance. With advancements in the technology, many more methods of separation techniques have been devised. Now students, let us discuss about the physical and the chemical changes. So students, the properties that can be observed and specified, like the color, hardness, rigidity, fluidity, density, melting point, boiling point, etc., they are all known as the physical properties. The changes which occur without a change in the composition and in the chemical nature of the substance are called the physical changes. The interconversion of these states is a physical change. For example, change of water in ice is a physical change because chemically ice and liquid water both are the same. Although ice, water and water vapor all look different and display the different physical properties, but chemically they are the same. Similarly, in the chemical changes. In chemical changes, one substance react with the another substance to undergo a change in the chemical composition. Chemical changes bring a change in the chemical properties of the matter and a new substance is formed. A chemical change is also called a chemical reaction. For example, both water and cooking oil are liquid, but their chemical characteristics are different. They differ in the odor and inflammability. Oil burns in the air, whereas the water extinguishes the fire. That is, it is the chemical property of the oil that makes it different from the water. Now student, here in the slide you can also see the other differences between the physical and the chemical changes. You can go through these differences. Now students, let us discuss about the pure substance. What is basically a pure substance? A substance which consists of only a single type of constituent particles is called as the pure substance. For example, the gold, water, etc. Based upon the nature of the constituent particles, a pure substance is of two types, that is the elements and the compounds. An element is basically a basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into the simpler substances by any chemical reaction. An element is a pure substance. Till now, 118 elements have been discovered. Out of these, 92 are the natural elements and others are the man-made. On the basis of the variation in the properties, elements can be broadly classified as the metals, non-metals and the metalloids. Now students, what are the metalloids? Elements having the intermediate properties between those of the metals and the non-metals, they are known as the metalloids. For example, the boron, silicon and germanium. These are known as the metalloids. Now in the next slide we are going to discuss about the metals and the non-metals. Now students, let us discuss the basic difference between the metals and the non-metals. Let us discuss first about the metals. So student, a metal is an element that is malleable, that means that can be hammered into the thin sheets. Ductile, again which can be drawn into the wires. Sonorous, that can make a ringing sound when hit hard on the ground and conduct heat and electricity. Metals generally are the lustrous, that means they shine and have the silvery grey or the golden yellow color. For example, gold, silver, copper, iron, sodium, potassium. So students, mercury is the only metal that is a liquid at the room temperature. Gallium and the cesium, because of their very low melting points, remain in the liquid state at a temperature slightly above the room temperature. Now let us discuss about the non-metals. A non-metal is an element that is neither malleable nor the ductile and does not conduct the heat and electricity. They display a variety of the colors. For example, hydrogen, oxygen, iodine, carbon, bromine, chlorine, etc. Bromine is the only non-metallic element that exists in the liquid state at the normal conditions of the temperature and the pressure. Moving on, let us discuss about the compounds. So students, a compound is a substance which is composed of the two or more elements chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion. For example, H2O, that is the water. It is made from the combination of the hydrogen and the oxygen. Methane, carbon dioxide, ammonia, sodium chloride, etc. So students, these are the basic compounds. Now students, we have already discussed about the mixture in our previous video. But there is a difference between the mixtures and the compounds. So let us discuss. So students, in the mixture, elements or the compounds just mix together to form a mixture and no new compound is formed. But in the compounds, elements, they react to form a new compound. Whereas in a mixture has a variable composition, but in the compound each new substance is always fixed, that is the composition of each new substance is always fixed. A mixture shows the properties of the constituent substances, but in the compound the new substance has totally different properties. The constituents can be separated fairly easily by the physical methods in the mixture, but in the compound the constituents can be separated only by the chemical or the electrochemical reaction.